I recently took you to a park that's on the itineraries of many tourists visiting Seoul these days. Today, we're visiting a park that most tourists coming to Korea probably have never heard of. And one of the main attractions is right up there. Hello there, it's a Wednesday morning, about 20 till 11. I'm standing outside gate 2 of Miyasagori station on line 4. Sagori is a 4-way intersection. One day soon, I'm gonna bring you out here and talk about this area, but today we're not hanging out around here. I'm taking you to a park today called the Dream Forest, and Miyasagori station is the closest station to it. So if you come out here to the forest, then that's probably how you'll get out here. Now there are 2 ways to get there. You can come out gate 2 or 3 over here, and if you were to go straight down that road in that direction, you could turn left. There's another road down there. We're taking this shortcut through here. All right, let's pause it right there for a moment. Do you see that green bus behind me? That's the Gangbuk District number 5 local bus, or Maul bus as they call it in Korean. Village bus is a direct translation. That's probably the most hassle-free way to get to the Dream Forest from Miyasagori station. You just step right out of gate 2, step onto the bus right there at that bus stop, and it will take you to the northwest side of the park, just below the observatory, the very spot where I was standing when we opened this video. You can walk the same route the bus takes. It's not that far of a walk, and in fact, you'll encounter some entry points to the hiking trails through the Dream Forest before you ever get to the big entrance there. Alternatively, you can do what we're doing in this video and head southeast out of gate 2 down this little side street, and when you get to the end of it, turn left and walk to the southeast side of the park, or cross that street to one of the bus stops on the other side where you can find a few different buses that will take you to the same place. Yeah, we're still in the Chuseok holiday. It's a 3-day holiday, the annual harvest festival that happens every autumn. And this year, the first day of the holiday just happened to fall on a Sunday. So that means there's an extra day added on, so we get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as part of the full holiday. And on top of that, last Friday was National Foundation Day, which commemorates the founding of the Korean race some 4,000 years ago, the story of Tangun, which is a different story for another day. So that was a holiday. And then tomorrow is Hangul Day, which commemorates the proclamation of the Korean alphabet in the 15th century. So a long period of holidays here, and some people will get Friday off as a sandwich day between Thursday and Saturday. So very happy time for people right now, I think. It's kind of been spoiled by the weather, though. We've had a lot of rain in the past week. Actually, through much of September, we've had a lot of rain. I think the weather is making up for the weak monsoon season we had over the summer. You can see these buildings are empty here. They're going to be demolished. I'm going to have to come out here and look into this a little more, see how big of an area this is. I know there's a big redevelopment zone over there in that direction that I'm going to show you later on. But right now, our road leads this way to the Dream Forest. The thing that gets me about this park is it opened in October of 2009, so 16 years ago. I didn't hear about it until over a decade later. It was 4 years ago or so when I first saw a sign somewhere. I was walking on a street here somewhere in northern Seoul, and I saw a sign pointing toward the Dream Forest. I'm like, Dream Forest? What's that? And I looked it up on Naver Map, and that was the end of it. I kind of forgot about it after that. And what gets me even more is that before the park was developed, the site was occupied by an amusement park called Dreamland. And that opened in 1987. And it was apparently pretty popular in its heyday. They had carnival rides and a zoo and a swimming pool. By the early 2000s, it had begun to decline, and eventually it shut down. And in 2008, the government bought up the property with plans to develop it into a park. And those plans were finalized by late 2008, and then it opened in October of 2009. So there was an amusement park here that I had never heard of in my first several years in Korea. And then this Dream Forest opens afterwards, and I never heard of that. It's not surprising. I'm not surprised that I never heard of these things. There was an old music/variety program that aired on MBC between 1985 and 1997 called Saturday. Saturday is Fun. There's an episode that was filmed in 1993 in Dreamland. You can watch it today on YouTube to get a sense of what Dreamland looked like back in the day. And you can also see some performances from some up-and-coming artists at the time, long before K-pop became a thing, like Shimshin and Shin Sung-woo and Kim Min-jong and Ha Soo-bin, apparently in her debut performance. I'll leave a link in the description below so you can go check it out. This area has always been a bit of a void for me, and I can tell you unequivocally that I've never walked along the street here, and I'm almost 100% certain that I've never ridden along the street in a car or a bus or anything. So this is a new experience for me coming this way. This area is still largely an old part of Seoul. And by old, I mean a lot of the buildings around here date back to the 80s and the 70s. You'll find some from the 60s. If you're not a big walker and you're coming out to the forest, maybe you don't want to walk this way from Mia Sagori Station. You might want to grab a bus. Now, I have mentioned in a few recent videos the push to expand green spaces in Seoul that started in the 1990s. And I think it's worth noting here that these are initiatives that have been pushed by different city mayors, different government administrations. It wasn't all one through line, one connected plan that was envisioned way back when, right? Each successive mayor is looking to leave their mark on the city. So there's some kind of work being done up here. The construction is for a new LRT, or light rail transit line, this one called the Dongbuk Line, that's scheduled to open in November of 2027. And this is going to make it a lot easier to get to the Dream Forest because there's going to be a new subway station just outside its southeast entrance. This is the Dream Forest Trail. The Puk Seoul is northern Seoul. Gume Sup is the Dream Forest. And Dulegil is the trail. The walking trail, the hiking trail, whatever you want to call it. And this will take us up to the top where we're going. But I wanted to go through the middle of the park here. So we're right here. And I want to go in through this entrance here and see all of this first. Okay, yeah, it's not going to affect us. Yeah, we can follow this park trail here to get to where we're going. If I lived in this area, I would absolutely be out here on a regular basis, walking my dogs, walking the trails. It's a lovely place. But right now, there are two main attractions here that interest me. This is not one of them. This is the mirror lake or mirror pond, whatever they call it. But one of them is the observation deck, which is right up there. You can just see the top of it from over the trees. It's at the top of the hill, and we will head up that way shortly. The other one is a historical site, and that's what I'm on my way to find right now. You can see it down there through these trees. In 1830, a young princess named Bogon, one of the daughters of King Sunjo, the 23rd king of the Joseon dynasty, married a young man named Kim Byung-ju. She was born in 1818. He was born in 1819, and they were married in 1830. Because he married a princess, Kim Byung-ju gained the title Changyeongwi, which means prince consort. Wi is the title given to a husband of a princess, and Changyeong is just a location associated with the title in this case. And this became his residence, the Changyeongwi-gung. You can translate that as the prince consort's residence, or maybe the prince consort's palace, but I think residence is probably more appropriate. Gung is the same suffix you find at like Gyeongbok-gung, Gyeongbok Palace. Sadly, Princess Bogon passed away in 1832. So the prince consort was left to live here alone. Her tomb was nearby, so this became her ancestral shrine, the spot where her ancestral rites were performed. When Kim Byung-ju passed away, his grave was situated next to his wife's. The tombs are no longer here. They were relocated to Yongin, but I'm not clear on the date. It was either 1993 or 2002. I'm leaning toward 1993 because I got that from a local history journal, local meaning local to Yongin. The 2002 date came from a 2023 article in a newspaper, but given that this was designated a cultural heritage site in 2002, I think they might have gotten the dates mixed up. It's possible. So I'm going with 1993. But either way, they're no longer here, and they are now in Yongin. And now that this is a cultural property, it is going to be preserved for as long as possible, I assume. There's a sad coda to this story. Princess Bogon passed away before she was able to have any children, leaving her husband with no male heir. In a practice that was not uncommon back then and continued well into the 20th century, Kim Byung-ju adopted one of the sons of a relative, in this case, his cousin. His new son, Kim Do-gyun, then inherited the property when Kim Byung-ju passed away. His son, Kim Sok-jin, inherited the property in turn. Sadly, when the Japanese annexed Korea in 1910, Kim Sok-jin was so distraught that he took his own life here in this residence. Now, I've been out here the whole time squinting at the sun with my shades right here on my shirt. Forgot all about them. All right, let's go check out this observation deck, shall we? I can see how that observation hall below the top deck, that would be a cool place to come sit and chill, get some work done, maybe read a book with that view, bring a tumbler with some coffee in it or something, a snack. You could sit there, especially on a weekday. I bet there wouldn't be many people there at all. It would be quiet and you'd have that great view all to yourself. I should try that one of these days.
어떻게 이렇게 내려?
Okay, having spent a couple of hours here, I can say definitively I like this place. It's really nice. I can see myself coming here with my wife in the near future, occasionally. And given that we live within walking distance from here, I can see how I can incorporate the trails here into my daily walk. I don't have to go to Naksan Park or Bugaksan all the time. I can come out this way and walk around here to get my green fix. And I'm really interested in coming up here with my laptop and sitting up in the observation hall below the deck up there on a weekday morning when there's no one around. Bring a couple sandwiches and some iced coffee or hot coffee, depending on the weather, and sit there and get some work done. That would be really interesting, I think. But if you're coming to Seoul, there are plenty of green spaces around for you to visit, and I wouldn't say that the greenery here alone is enough to pull you out here. However, I think the ancestral shrine over here, the Changnyeongri Gung, I think that is a really cool place to visit, and I think the view is worth it. So those two things alone are a good draw, I think. If you're wanting to explore northern Seoul, there's some great old neighborhoods around here that you can walk through and check out before they disappear, because I promise you there is redevelopment going to happen in this area. There's already been a good bit of it, and there's going to be more. A lot of the old buildings that are here in the surrounding area aren't going to be around forever. So there will be some great local neighborhoods to walk through. And if you're walking around Mia Station or Mia Sagori Station, that is kind of like a window into Seoul of the 90s almost. I mean, it feels like it takes you back to that era, because I'm pretty sure that many of the buildings down there are the same ones that were there the first time I came down that street 34 years ago now. It's a little more awkward to get to than the other big parks, because you've got that bus transfer or walk from Mia Sagori Station or Mia Station, as the case may be. But it's not onerous, right? It's not too bad to get to. I hope you enjoyed coming out here with me today. I always enjoy showing off Seoul to you, but I particularly like it when I'm able to experience something for the first time along with you, as I did here today. This was good. This was nice. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thank you for subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.